Welcome to English with Zenko Master. Get ready to learn something new today.
I knew something had changed when Mark stopped asking how my day was. At first, I thought he was tired. Everyone has busy weeks, right? But then 1 week became 2. Then a month passed, and the silence between us became normal. We still lived in the same house. We still ate dinner at the same table. But somehow, I felt like a stranger sitting across from him. He would chew his food, look at his phone, and say almost nothing. Sometimes he would ask if we needed milk. That was it. I used to talk to him about everything. My work, my family, even silly things I saw on the way home. He used to laugh with me, listen, and sometimes hold my hand across the table. I missed that hand. I missed his eyes looking into mine and not through me. I remember the last time he looked at me the way he used to. It was months ago, on a Sunday morning. I had burned the toast, and the fire alarm went off. I laughed. He laughed too. He kissed my cheek and called me a walking disaster. That was the last kiss I remember. Since then, things had changed. He still came home every night. He didn't leave. He didn't cheat. But somehow, I felt more alone than if he had walked out the door. I tried to fix things. I planned a dinner, candles, his favorite food, soft music. He came home late that day. He said he had a meeting. He ate the food in silence and went to bed early. He did not say it was nice. He did not even ask why I looked so dressed up. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table and watched the sunlight move across the floor. I felt like crying, but the tears didn't come. It was not sadness. It was something colder, a kind of emptiness, like I had become invisible. At work, I smiled at people. I joined their small talks and sent cheerful emails. But as soon as I got home, the smile disappeared. I walked into a house where my voice no longer reached him. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. His car was in the driveway. I walked in and heard the television. Mark was sitting on the sofa, laughing. Not with me, not at something I said, but at a show I never watched with him, a show I didn't even know he liked. "Hey," I said, standing near the door. He looked up. "Hey." That was it. One word. I wanted to ask him, "Do you still see me? Do you still love me?" But instead, I hung my coat and sat on the other end of the sofa. There was space between us. Not just on the sofa, in everything. I remember one Friday night. I wore a blue dress that used to be his favorite. He once said it brought out my eyes. That night, he didn't even look up. I sat beside him, trying to start a conversation. "So, how was work?" I asked. "Busy." I waited for more, but nothing came. "And your meeting with the new client?" "It was fine." I turned toward him. "Mark, are you okay?" He gave a small smile. "Yeah, just tired." That word again. Tired. It had become the wall between us. The reason for not talking, not touching, not feeling. I decided to try something different. I asked him if he wanted to go for a walk with me on Sunday, like we used to. He said, "Maybe next time." But there was never a next time. One night, I sat in the bedroom alone. Mark was downstairs watching something. I thought about our early days, the jokes, the kisses, the long drives to nowhere. We used to dream about the future. Now we could not even talk about dinner. I asked myself, what happened to us? There was no big fight, no cheating, no screaming, just silence. Quiet days that turned into quiet weeks. Love turning into routine. Eyes that once searched for mine now looking past me. I made tea and stood by the window. Outside, the street was quiet. A couple walked by, holding hands. I watched them until they turned the corner. Then I looked at my reflection in the window. I did not recognize myself. I was only 34, but I felt older. I felt like someone who had waited too long for something that might never come back. When Mark came upstairs, he said goodnight and lay down with his back to me. No kiss, no touch, just silence. That night, I dreamed I was standing in a crowded room. People were talking, laughing. I tried to speak, but no one heard me. I waved, I called out, but they all looked through me. I woke up with my heart racing. Mark was still asleep. I looked at him and whispered, "Do you even see me anymore?" He didn't move. The next day, I called my sister Emily. She lived in another city, but we were close. I had not told her how things were, but that day, I needed someone to hear me. She answered with her usual cheer. "Hey you! What's up?" I tried to keep my voice normal. "Hey, just wanted to say hi." But she knew. "Anna, what's wrong?" I sat down. Do you ever feel like you're standing in front of someone and they don't see you? She was quiet for a second. "Mark?" I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. Not the small version, the full truth. How I felt alone in my own house. How his eyes no longer looked into mine. How his words had become shorter, colder. How I missed being loved. Emily listened. She didn't give advice right away. She just listened. When I finished, she said something simple. You deserve more than to be a shadow in your own life. That sentence stayed with me all week. Before I share the rest of my story, could you please tell me where you're from? It gives me strength to know there's someone out there who listens to me, who understands me. It means a lot to me. The days after my call with Emily passed slowly. Her words kept returning to me. You deserve more than to be a shadow in your own life. I thought about them while brushing my teeth, while cooking, while sitting quietly next to Mark on the sofa as he stared at his screen. It was a Saturday morning when something inside me started to shift. Mark had already left for the gym. I stood in the kitchen with my coffee, looking around at the clean surfaces, the neatly placed chairs, the silence. It was not the house that made me sad. It was how small I felt inside it. I took a deep breath and opened a drawer where we kept old photos. I pulled out a small album from our early years. Pictures of beach days, birthdays, a road trip through the mountains. There was one photo of us standing on a hilltop. My hair was messy from the wind. He was holding my hand. We looked happy. Not perfect, but full of life. I touched the photo lightly. "Where did we go?" I whispered. That afternoon, I tried something I had not done in a long time. I sat at my vanity and did my makeup slowly. Not for anyone else. Just for me. I put on a simple dress and walked to the little park near our house. I sat on a bench and watched people go by. An old man walked his dog. A group of kids played football. A teenage couple shared a sandwich. No one looked at me. But it was okay. I was there, and I felt real. I watched the world move, and I was not invisible in it. When I came home, Mark was already back. He was in the kitchen, pouring cereal into a bowl like it was still morning. "You've been out?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," I said simply, hanging my coat. He looked at me, maybe really looked for a second. "Where did you go?" "Just to the park." He nodded. "That's nice." I waited for more. A question, a comment. But it didn't come. He walked into the living room with his bowl, turned on the television, and that was it. That night, I made my decision. I wasn't going to beg him to see me. I wasn't going to keep waiting. I was going to find my voice again, with or without him. The next day, I called Emily again. "I'm coming to visit next weekend," I told her. There was a smile in her voice. "Good. You need it." I didn't tell Mark until 2 days before. "Emily invited me over for the weekend," I said while he was sorting the mail. He didn't look up. "When?" "Friday to Sunday." He nodded. "Okay. Do you need me to drive you?" "No," I said. "I've already booked the train." He said nothing more. No questions. No, "I'll miss you." Just a nod. And silence. The day I left, I stood by the door with my bag. Mark was on the sofa again. "I'm heading out," I said. He looked up. "Have a good time." I waited for a second. I wanted to hear something else, but it didn't come. So I opened the door and walked away. The train ride was quiet. I stared out the window, watching the trees blur past. My thoughts felt clearer than they had in weeks. When I reached Emily's place, she hugged me tightly. "You look tired," she said gently. "I am." We spent the evening cooking together, laughing, watching a movie we both loved. I told her everything. Again. She didn't interrupt. She listened like it mattered. "You don't have to stay stuck," she said at the end. "Even if he's not hurting you, he's also not holding you." That night, I slept better than I had in months. On Saturday, we walked around the city. Emily introduced me to a small art shop, a place with handmade candles, and a cozy cafe where they played soft jazz music. At one point, I said, "I feel more myself here than I do at home." Emily looked at me with kind eyes. "Maybe because here, you're not invisible." Later, as we sat in the cafe, she asked, "Do you still love him?" I thought about it. I don't know. I love the memory of us, but I don't think I love the man who looks away every time I speak. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Back home. Sunday night, the silence felt heavier. Mark asked, "Good trip?" It was. "Did Emily send you back with cookies again?" I smiled faintly. "No cookies this time." He chuckled. "Shame." That was the longest exchange we had all evening. In the days that followed, I noticed things more clearly. How we passed each other like ghosts. How we touched only by accident. How our meals were eaten side by side, not together. One evening I asked, "Do you think we're okay?" He paused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, do you still feel close to me?" He looked confused. "We're fine, aren't we?" I nodded. "Sure." But we weren't. And I think, deep down, he knew that too. That week, I started spending more time outside the house. I joined a weekend book group. I went on walks. I called old friends. I did things without asking Mark first, because he had stopped asking me anything long ago. Then, one Sunday morning, something unexpected happened. Mark came into the kitchen while I was having coffee. "Are you going out again today?" he asked. "Yes. There's a small market I want to see." He stood there for a moment, then said, "Do you want company?" I looked at him, surprised. "You want to come?" He nodded. "If that's okay." We walked together. At first it was quiet, but then we started talking. He asked about the market. I asked about his work. For a moment it felt like the old us. We stopped at a small booth selling handmade scarves. I picked up a soft gray one. "Feels nice." "You should get it," he said. "It matches your coat." I smiled. "You remember my coat?" He looked at me. "I remember everything." We walked some more, bought fresh bread, shared coffee, and for the first time in months, I felt a tiny flicker of warmth. Later that evening, he turned off the TV and sat next to me on the sofa. "I've been distant," he said quietly. I waited. I don't know why. Work, stress. I don't have a good excuse. "I felt invisible," I said. "For a long time." He turned toward me. "I'm sorry." It was the first real apology in months. It didn't fix everything, but it was something. "I'm not asking for everything to go back," I said. "I just want to feel seen. I want us to feel like a team again." He nodded. I want that too. We sat there for a while. No TV, no phones. Just us. It would take time, and maybe it was too late. But in that moment, I felt seen. At last. The days after that quiet evening on the sofa moved forward like slow waves. Nothing crashed. Nothing broke. But I could feel the tide changing. Mark tried. He really did. And I tried too. But there was no quick return to what we had been. When something fades, it does not come back with one kind word. It needs time, trust, and many small moments. The morning after he apologized, he made breakfast. I walked into the kitchen and found coffee already poured, toast on a plate, and him setting the table. "I thought I'd start the day right," he said. It was simple, but it made me pause. Not because of the breakfast, but because he had thought about me before the day began. We ate in silence, but not the heavy silence of before. This one was lighter, comfortable. "I talked to a friend at work yesterday," he said, spreading jam on his toast. "He asked how you were." I looked up. "You talk about me?" He nodded. "I used to talk about you all the time. Then I stopped. I'm not sure why, but I want to start again." That afternoon, I bought a new plant for the kitchen. It was a small green thing with wide leaves. I placed it on the windowsill. Mark noticed it when he came home. "Nice touch," he said, running his fingers over the leaves. "I thought the kitchen needed something alive," I said. He nodded. "It did." We were not trying to fix each other. We were trying to notice each other again. That, I think, was the first step toward healing. Some days were harder than others. There were evenings when Mark would still get lost in his phone, and I would still sit on the edge of the bed, wondering if we were fooling ourselves. But now, when I spoke, he listened. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not always with the right words, but his eyes stayed on me. One Saturday, we decided to go to the art museum downtown. It was something we used to enjoy. We had not been in nearly 2 years. Inside, we walked slowly, looking at paintings and photographs. I stopped in front of a black and white photo of a woman standing by a window, her face half in shadow. The title said, "Still Here." "I feel like that sometimes," I said. Mark looked at it too. "Waiting?" "No, not waiting. Just present. Still here, but fading." He took my hand. "You're not fading." I looked at him. That night, I dreamed of our first apartment, the small one with the noisy radiator and the broken doorbell. We had painted the kitchen blue and eaten noodles on the floor. That time had been hard, but we were close then. Always laughing, always talking. I woke up missing that version of us. So I started doing something small every week. One little thing to bring some of that version back. I made Mark's favorite meal on Wednesdays. I picked up a movie we both used to love. I left a note in his coat pocket, just 3 words. Still choosing you. He found it at work and texted me, You made me smile. But I did not do it just to get a reaction. I did it to remind myself that love, even old love, can be new again if we give it air. One Sunday, Mark surprised me. He planned a picnic. He made sandwiches, packed juice and fruit, and drove us to a small hill outside the city. It was warm, and the sky was clear. I remember our second date, he said, opening the blanket. You told me you loved picnics. I did. I still do. He looked at me. I forget things sometimes, but I'm trying to remember again. I leaned back and looked at the sky. It matters. We lay there, side by side, listening to the wind. After we came home, I noticed he had placed our old photo album on the table, the one I had looked through alone weeks ago. Want to go through this together? He asked. So we did. We laughed at old clothes and bad haircuts. We paused at a photo from our honeymoon. We were both sunburned, smiling wide. You kissed my shoulder right after this picture, I said. I remember. You smelled like sunscreen and oranges. It was strange how memory could soften pain, how looking back could lead us forward. Later that week, we met some friends for dinner. It had been a while since we'd gone out together. I noticed how Mark touched my back lightly when we walked in, how he laughed at my joke, how his eyes found mine when someone mentioned relationships. Driving home, I said, That was nice. He smiled. We're still a good team, you know. I didn't answer right away. Then I said, Yes. When we work together. At home, we washed dishes side by side. I handed him plates and he dried them. You're quieter these days, he said softly. I'm listening more, I said. To what? To myself. To what I need. He nodded. And what do you need? I looked at him. Not perfect, not dramatic, just honest, just present. He placed the towel down and turned to me. I can do that. Weeks passed. The air between us became easier. Not always light, but no longer heavy. He started opening up more. He told me about things at work, about a book he was reading, about something funny that happened in the elevator. And I shared too, about how I felt when he pulled away, about the loneliness I had carried. Not to blame him, but to help him understand. I thought I was doing my best, he said one evening. I know, I replied. But your best wasn't reaching me. He took my hand. Is it now? More than before. There was still fear in me. Fear that things would slide back. That I would again become invisible. But every time he reached for my hand, or asked about my day, or touched my hair as I read, that fear faded a little. Then came the real test. A cold Thursday night. We were both tired. The dinner was late and the house was messy. Mark sat on the sofa with his phone. I was in the kitchen, wiping down the counter. The old feeling crept in, that quiet ache. I walked into the living room and stood in front of him. He looked up. "What's wrong?" "I feel it again," I said. "The distance." He placed his phone down. "I'm sorry. Let me try again." He opened his arms. I stepped in. He held me for a long time. Later, as we lay in bed, he whispered, "I see you. I still see you." And I knew then that love was not always loud. Sometimes it was a quiet return, a steady choice, a soft voice saying, "I'm here." And this time, he didn't look away. I hope have enjoyed the story. Like and comment if you want to hear more soon.